Another eye-catching development for this week's CoreGap report, China, amidst all the revolutions in North Africa and the revolutionary tumult in the Persian Gulf, comes out and says it's going to grow its economy more slowly over the next 5 years, coming down to a target of just 7% for the next 5 years. Now, if you go back and look at what they did for the previous 5-year period, the official target was only 7.5%, but really they were hitting 10 to 11 to 12% growth annually. So this new focus is an attempt or reflective, let's say, of the fear that they need to really move away from the sort of rapid at all costs development that's creating this have-not divide between the coast and the interior. And as you saw in the National People's Congress a couple weeks ago, you see this new focus or renewed focus on the interior poor. And this is crucial for globalization on a number of levels. China is the number 1 or number 2 partner for 11 of the 19 other G20 countries. So when it decides to import more, which is the second point, versus revalue its currency, this kind of rebalancing has huge implications for everybody that China trades with. But it's also reflective, again, of that fear that China has, that the kind of development that it's been getting for the last decade really is leading to that division between those who have and those who have not, the coastal and the interior. And there's some concern on the basis of watching what's going down in North Africa and the Persian Gulf that the same kind of contagion can happen to China in the near term. And we've seen a certain amount of that flash mob demonstrations. They call it strolling in China. They just get together, walk down the street, kind of give the local authorities a sense of their numbers. And there's been some tremendous crackdowns in response to even those glimmers of social protests. Wikistrat would also point out a real interesting factoid just popped up in the last few weeks. China is now estimated to be spending more on its internal security than it does on its defense. If you compare that to the United States, there's just no comparison. America spends maybe 5 or 6 times more on external security as it does on internal security. So it gives you a sense here that inward focus for the Chinese really does reflect kind of a growing conservatism, and we think it's going to be reflected in its foreign policy. And we'd like to point out that this focus on job creation and moving jobs to the interior, big announcement by Foxconn, the electronics manufacturer, that they're moving jobs to China's interior recently. That's really going to kind of butt up against the larger focus of Chinese companies to go global, which of course means the jobs will go global with them to a certain extent. So the tension between wanting to go global, conquer global markets, make sure they create enough jobs at home, and then this new focus on the interior poor, we see a real inward focus coming about for China as a result of all these developments. And that means different China, perhaps more selfish China.